Alrighty then. Well, the chores are done, and I'm laying here in bed with my hot water bottles. It is quite cold, though. It's cold in here, even with the heater on and the hot water bottles around me. It's still really cold. Rocky is resting there. There he is. Hey, you. Hi, Rocky. You're a good boy. He's a good boy, you know. My Rocky is a very good boy. He is. Him is. Anyway, there's something that I often think about. You know, a lot of people will tell you that the Bible is bullshit, that the Bible is just a bullshit book. And I mean, look, some of them will bring up different things about, how something gets lost in the translation because of languages and the context of culture and all that. And there is some truth in that. That's one of the few legitimate arguments I've ever heard that would explain why the Bible may not be 100% as it was originally written. But I do believe that we get the gist of it. We still get a pretty good idea of the character of God from reading the Bible. And I believe the historical stuff and so on is pretty good, is right. And the direction as to how we should live is for the most part, I would say it's all right. It may be that certain words and phrases and whatnot, there's something that gets lost in the translation. We should probably expect that when it's been translated into so many different languages and, over thousands of years. Some of these writings are thousands of years old. So we should expect that. But I think the basic plot is good. And I notice, especially in scriptures referring to end times, there are so many things that make sense now, but wouldn't have made sense, well, even a few years ago. I tried reading the book of Revelation in 1985, and I couldn't make head nor tail out of it. It was just gobbledygook. Makes a lot more sense now because the technology has advanced, that the type of society the Bible talks about existing in the end times actually can exist now. So it actually does make sense now where it didn't back then. One of those things, though, which I find really interesting, is there's a line in the Bible, and don't ask me exactly where it is because I grew up Catholic. So I'm not very good at remembering. I can't sit here and say, Job 15, verse 4 through 6, or I can't do that. Like, that's not going to happen. But I can tell you it is in there somewhere. And it talks about in the last, at the end of the world, that the powerful people will beg for the mountains to fall on top of them, to hide them from the wrath of God. Well, think about this for a minute. Where are the powerful people going to go when that happens? Where do they have their shelters? In the mountains. They actually have cities built inside of mountains. They have fully stocked cities, everything that you would need to survive in that, to survive in there for years if necessary. Everything's there. They're all self-contained. They have their own air purification system to filter out any contamination that would be in the air. They have their own fuel, their own generators, their own, they have kitchens, they have radio stations, telecommunications places, everything, sleeping quarters, their own waste disposal system, everything right there. Like you can literally go in there, close the door, and not come out for 10 years if you have to. and and not run out of food or any other necessity, food, medicine, so on. They have a hospital, they have a jail, they have stores, everything on inside of a mountain. So I mean, there you go. But who would have thought of that thousands of years ago? Who would have thought of that? I mean, back then they probably figured it was a figurative thing. They'll beg for the mountains to fall on them and hide them. Well, I mean, they probably figured it was a figurative thing, but now, literally, that is where the elites will go. They'll go into the mountains. Like, right now, I'm not talking into the mountain area, I'm talking right into a mountain, inside of a mountain. And apparently, they're going to be begging for that mountain. They're going to be just praying that that mountain will fall in on top of them to hide them from the wrath of God. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to make you think. It makes me think anyway. But there are so many things like that in the Bible that, although I agree with those who say that it's entirely possible and even probable that certain parts of it aren't exactly as they were written thousands of years ago, I do see an awful lot of stuff in it that is really accurate, and that does give me some idea of the character of God. And also, like I say, just all this end time stuff. A lot of stuff that wouldn't have made sense when it was written makes a lot of sense now. Anyway, that's it. We'll see y'all later. It is cold in here, but Rocky and I are doing okay. We're not going to die or anything. We're used to this and we're tough, eh? We're a pretty tough bunch, aren't we, Rocky? Yeah, I know. Rocky, especially, he's very tough. Well, his name is Rocky. That should tell you something. Have you ever met a Rocky who wasn't tough? You know, you never meet a Rocky who isn't tough. No, they're all tough. You can't be named Rocky and not be tough. It's like a rule or something. I think it's a law, actually, that if your name is Rocky and you're not tough, that there's some sort of punishment attached to that. You end up serving jail time if your name is Rocky and you're not tough. No, you're legally required to be a tough guy if your name is Rocky. Hey. And Rocky meets his legal obligations, I'll tell you. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm sure Rocky will look after me when SHIT happens. Um, he always has so far, anyway. All right, giving me wonderful head boops. We'll see y'all later. Oh, hey, Rocky.